Philadelphia's season is officially over, but the pain of losing to the 49ers seems to have kickstarted Howie's season in ways we don't quite realize, as the Bears GM gave a cryptic statement yesterday that has many fans wondering if a massive move is inbound. Plus, while Jahan Dotson's return could be the biggest indicator on the future of A.J. Brown, what BG said yesterday that has me pretty darn surprised. Oh, and the Bears offensive coordinator hunt, it's getting narrower, and I think I know who they want. Thomas Mott, this is the Thomas Mott Show. We already have new details in the Eagles' hunt for a brand new offensive coordinator, and they just dropped. And while you and I are going to love every single bit, Nick Sirianni is not going to be happy. But despite one of the Birds' top candidates reportedly moving to a different NFC East team already, the Eagles' best choice, I think, is still on the market. And while bidding war is obviously about to commence, I think the Eagles have a secret weapon up their sleeve. Because if you weren't still furious about the KP and Nick Sirianni offense this past season, just wait until you hear this clip from Jalen Hurts and Robert Saleh earlier this week. But I do think the joint Nick Sirianni and Howie Roseman press conference from yesterday should have all of us feeling pretty darn excited about where this offseason is about to go. First, though, the winner of this bad boy, the DeVonta Smith Jordan Spector Immortals card, is announced at the end of today's video, so watch until the end. However, I have another announcement that's not a giveaway that I need y'all's help with. I think it's finally time that I make my first official hire here at the Thomas Mott Show. Not a full-time job, it's contract work, it's nothing crazy, don't freak out. I'm looking for a YouTube Shorts, TikTok, and Instagram Reels editor who can have basic knowledge of the National Football League, the Philadelphia Eagles, and help me out on a part-time basis for hopefully the entire offseason and beyond. Again, not a crazy position, not offering a ton of money, but if you have real editing experience and love the Philadelphia Eagles and the time to do it, send me an email down below, give me your information, maybe a resume, or at least your work, examples of your work. And I'm going to try to hire somebody here soon, so again, if you know somebody, send me an email, I'll link it all down below. Now, of course, I'll get to the latest very interesting updates on the Eagles OC search in a second. The storyline the national media and local media picked up on yesterday from the press conference of Howie Roseman and Nick Sirianni has to do with A.J. Brown, which when asked about it, Howie Roseman gave a very PC answer, sounded pretty normal. We want good players, and A.J. Brown is a good player.
Yeah, we talked about this, I think, at the trade deadline last time I talked. It is hard to find great players in the NFL, and A.J. is a great player. I think from my perspective, that's what we're going out and looking for when we go out here in free agency in the draft, is trying to find great players who love football, and he's that guy. So I think that would be my answer.
But it was actually what Howie Roseman did at the very end of the press conference that has everybody trying to read between the lines, as Roseman, randomly out of the blue, made a statement directly to Eagle fans about both the present and future of the current team.
Can I clarify one thing? Because I think it's important for our fans to understand. You know, you can do whatever it takes to win now and still build for the future and still have those parallel paths. You know, I just don't want it to get confused that we can't do whatever it takes to build a championship caliber team next year and also continue to have really good players on this team for the future. So, you know, I just want to make sure that we're on the same page on that.
And that statement has a ton of Eagle fans wondering if Howie is trying to signal to us if they do trade A.J. Brown this offseason, it doesn't mean they aren't going for it all, a Super Bowl in 2026. It means they can both have their cake and eat it too. I'm on the fence on trading A.J. Brown, keeping A.J. Brown. Like, for example, I said earlier this week that the dead cap hit Philadelphia would incur if they traded him either post-June 1st or pre-June 1st is probably too much to swallow. But then I read this Jimmy Kempski Philly Voice article, fantastic by the way, and he makes a very interesting point about the benefit of moving off Brown this season, saying, quote, "The Eagles could still get a high draft pick in return for Brown, and that player will be cost-controlled and cheaper for 4 or so years. But also, main point here, after the pain of doubling Brown's cap number in 2026 passes, there are major savings in 2027, 2028, and 2029, where he was scheduled to count for $133 million on the cap during those 3 seasons combined. It's over $44 million per season. That's all gone if they were to trade him now, aka post-June 1st. Philadelphia would also save $113 million in cash payouts to Brown, including $29 million in 2026, and that money can go towards signing young star defensive players like Quinyon Mitchell, Cooper DeJean, Jalen Carter, Jordan Davis, Jalix Hunt, Nolan Smith. The possibilities are endless. And so to me, the whole A.J. Brown situation comes down to 2 main points. A, does A.J. want to be in Philadelphia? We'll talk about that. And then B, does Philadelphia still think A.J. Brown is an elite wide receiver physically going forward? Also, want to give a massive shout out to the sponsor of this video, Fanatics Live. A ton of you guys in my comment section love sports cards, and they're exploding right now. Most of you guys know that. But if you don't and want to get on the fun, this app is 100% the best way to do it. Fanatics Live is a 24/7 live streaming community where you're buying and ripping packs together with on-screen hosts guiding the action. And my favorite way to play is with instant rips. Every pack has a real, physical, professionally graded or authentic card inside. You can see the floor and ceiling value before you even buy. And right now, I'm in the app. I'll do an instant rip for you guys. For example, here, let's do one of the $75 instant rip packs. Love that one here. And then you see my host live on the screen is going to go ahead and rip this one for me. And as it begins, you see my name and boom, there we go. How about that? A 2020 Panini Prism Justin Herbert card here. Okay, there we go. So now I have Herbert, and then previously I went ahead and got the college Carson Beck to add to my collection. And the coolest thing here is, let's say you didn't like the Justin Herbert card that I just ripped. Well, Fanatics Live gives you total control on how you actually have your collection. Once a card is revealed, it appears instantly inside Collection under the Collection tab, where you then can have that graded or authenticated slab shipped to your house, or if you want to keep hunting, you can sell it back to the app instantly for 90% market value in credit to keep ripping. Plus, it's not just NFL cards, although most people watching my show, NFL channel, I get it, but they have the NBA, they have the MLB, and they have Pokemon as well. And right now, if you want to start your collection for free, new users get a free Instant Rips pack, again, that's free, with a graded or authenticated card already inside, just for joining your first stream. And it's super simple. Just go download my description box, download the Fanatics Live app, get your first pack for free today. And on the first front, I think Jason Kelce makes the best point here. Said it on WIP a couple of days ago. A.J. Brown right now needs to get away from the Philadelphia Eagles, get away from football, let everything settle dodown, clear his head, see who the new OC is, and then the chance of him coming back, I think, is likely a lot higher. But then, of course, there's the has A.J. Brown actually lost a step argument, and I don't know the answer. Like, on one hand, it did seem like at times he did not look as dominant in 2025 as he did in previous seasons. But then, of course, how do we know that wasn't just KP's offense having him run stop routes and go routes literally every single snap? There's a real argument that A.J. Brown could look more like vintage A.J. Brown in a Mike McDaniel offense where he moves him around and schemes him open. What a concept. But then the other factor, I think, is effort, which I do think some of the drops, especially in the wildcard round versus the 49ers, the misses this season, can be chalked up to maybe a lack of effort on Brown's part. Back in 2022, AJ never missed catches like this. He always went up, got the contested catch, and was balling out play after play after play. And when you pair that with this film breakdown from Jason Avant, former Eagle wide receiver Jason Avant, he does show that even a couple of days ago, the effort from A.J. Brown, let's say in the run blocking game, it wasn't that great.
They bring A.J. down in motion, and A.J.'s responsibility is to pick up someone. I'm going to show you guys what I'm talking about. They bring A.J. in motion. Now, they bring A.J. in motion. This is Jair Brown. Now, he's supposed to block this side, cut off this side, right? So if you don't know who you got, you want to get in this position, right? So it's here. You can either go in man line scrimmage, you communicate with this guy, but you can go here in order to cut it off. He doesn't do that. He just plays ball and just sits here. This guy comes across and makes the tackle. Like, if you have energy to yell, energy to be frustrated, you got to be frustrated with yourself. This is a simple concept. I know to get in this position when I'm cutting off the backside because I don't know which one of these guys are going to cross face. So I want to be in this position just in case he goes there, I can do that and he can't get him and now he can go back. All right. So this was my responsibility most of my career. So AJ just sits there at line of scrimmage. This guy goes and makes the play. And then he's looking back at the quarterback like, yo, what happened? No, you happened. That's what happened.
Honestly, though, I don't know. I want A.J. Brown to be back because I do think we have to think about life before A.J. Brown and how rough it was for Philadelphia with wide receivers. Can they draft somebody, sign somebody? Who knows? But I want A.J. Brown to be here, and I want him to look like previous, vintage A.J. Brown. And you can guarantee me that for the next couple of seasons, then keep him here. But if you can't, I do think there is technically a way out and an argument to go ahead and trade A.J. Brown. And we're going to find out sooner rather than later what the Philadelphia Eagles are going to do. Of course, let's just say the Eagles do trade A.J. Brown post-June 1st. That does mean they obviously need to add another wide receiver, which instantly has many looking at free agent wide receiver Jahan Dotson as the simple or easiest answer because he's familiar with Jalen Hurts, familiar with the offense, and could certainly shine brighter with a lot more opportunities. The problem is Dotson appears to think he's on his way out, telling media members 2 days ago, quote, "It's tough because I know this was probably my last day here. It was fun. I learned a lot while I was here. Truly a remarkable 2 years." And the timing obviously is the major problem because if you have to wait till after June 1st to trade A.J. Brown, then you can't really re-sign Jahan Dotson in March. However, I see Jahan Dotson as really the first indication of what Howie Roseman is going to do with A.J. Brown. If they magically re-sign him out of the blue in March during free agency, that probably tells me down the line before the draft, after June 1st, they will be trading A.J. Brown. If they let Jahan Dotson go and they don't address wide receiver at all, especially early in the NFL draft, that probably tells us number 11 is here to stay. Time, of course, will tell, and the same goes for the other veteran who had a pretty surprising hint yesterday about his plans for 2026, and that, of course, was none other than Brandon Graham via his podcast, where he was asked about the future, running it back one more year, and he said, quote, "I can get the message really early if that ain't the deal. For me, I'm still going to be working out. It's either I'm going to be working out like I'm training to play until I know, and then if it ain't, that's cool too. I got a bunch of opportunities too, man. That sometimes I just have to get uncomfortable to actually just do it, but if I can, I will this year." Brandon Graham turns 38 in April, and one more year would actually be his 17th season in the National Football League. This past year, for a few weeks when he came back, it sure felt like we had vintage Brandon Graham. He logged like 3 sacks, 2 of which were in the same game in this tiny little stretch. But over the past couple of weeks, his snaps really stalled even more, and then heading into the postseason matchup versus the 49ers, Brandon Graham hardly played. Personally, I'll be surprised if Brandon Graham comes back, but the itch certainly is still there, and I think what we saw in that small stretch where he had all those sacks a couple of weeks ago is that he definitely thinks that he can still play. Even at 38 years old, he enjoys being out there, he enjoys the grind, the day-to-day, and I do think the one big plus of keeping Brandon Graham, if they end up doing that, is if they draft a young defensive lineman early in the 2026 NFL draft, they have the mentor of BG to bring them along. That cannot be overstated. I think it'd be very, very important. Now, back to the Eagles, and the first major NFL coaching domino, you might have seen this, fell just the other night. The New York Giants officially hired John Harbaugh to be their new head coach, what is rumored to be a over $100 million a year deal. Which is cool, whatever, he's the head coach, he wasn't going to come to Philadelphia, but for all intents and purposes, this is still a huge swing for a franchise in desperate need of a full organizational reset. And time will tell if Harbaugh can take the Giants from bottom of the NFC East to hopefully not the top, but we'll see, whatever. The big problem, though, is that he's going to go ahead and bring in the offensive coordinator a lot of Eagle fans were hoping the Birds would sign. Todd Monken is now off the market because he's officially joining John Harbaugh to be the New York Giants' new offensive coordinator, which, again, is a bummer because he was rumored to be one of the top targets for the Birds opening at the same spot. Monken, as I talked about earlier this week, oversaw Lamar Jackson finishing second and then first in the MVP voting in his first 2 seasons in Baltimore. And again, it's a bummer. Monken's gone, got to move on, but this definitely narrows Philadelphia's offensive coordinator search, and it seems like 2 candidates, there's really 4, but there are 2 guys rising to the top as we speak. And Philadelphia is wasting 0 time because, according to Josina Anderson, quote, "A league source just told me that initial talks with the Eagles' offensive coordinator candidates, aka their camps, have gone well." Adding that the feedback has been on wanting to have questions assuaged on complete autonomy over the offense, similar to what Kellen Moore enjoyed while he was in Philadelphia. Those concerns were met with responses ensuring an elite candidate should not anticipate, quote, "any interference," the source said. Which honestly is a massive deal because technically, no offensive coordinator Nick Sirianni has had in his entire tenure has had full autonomy or complete control. That's a big blow to Nick Sirianni, but I think a huge benefit for Philadelphia. Despite what some people will tell you, Nick Sirianni has always meddled in the Birds' offense, whether for bad or for good. I'd honestly lean bad, but that's obviously still debatable. But even with Kellen Moore, as some people will say, he had full autonomy during the Super Bowl run. Right after the Philadelphia Eagles then hired Ken Patullo post-Moore, A.J. Brown kind of spilled the beans where he revealed, quote, that him, that's Ken Patullo, Kellen, and Nick were already calling the plays in 2024, a.k.a. Kellen Moore did not have full autonomy back in 2024. And while I would argue that Kellen Moore had the most autonomy of any past offensive coordinator for Philadelphia, way more than Ken Patullo, if they want to go out and get one of the top 2 candidates, a.k.a. Mike McDaniel and Brian Daboll, it sure seems like Nick Sirianni cannot meddle at all. And yes, this is rightfully where you would comment, but if that's true, Thomas, then why keep Nick Sirianni? What does he actually do? To which I'd honestly say, I don't know. But he's not going anywhere, and so I guess we just have to hope that taking more power away from Sirianni will help Philadelphia's offense in the long run. As far as candidates, we have official names now, not just guesses. The Athletic confirmed a couple of days ago that both Mike McDaniel and Brian Daboll are at the top of the Eagles list. Although Josina Anderson also mentioned Cliff Kingsbury and Kevin Stefanski will, quote, get a real look as well. Obviously assuming that none of the aforementioned candidates get head coaching gigs, which, next couple of days, we're going to find out. Which in terms of going for a head coaching job versus an OC job, I did like how Fox Sports reported that Mike McDaniel, for example, is considering, quote, a great OC opening over a not-so-great head coach opening, with the Eagles, Lions, and Bucks all fitting the bill of, quote, great OC landing spots. And despite the fact that guys like Elliot Shore-Parks will try and tell you Philadelphia is not a great offensive coordinator landing spot, I could not disagree more, and I think most people in the NFL agree with me. This right here is the Birds' projected 2026 starting offense and defense if literally every single one of their current free agents left without any sort of draft picks also added. And as you see, offensively, it's literally the same minus Jahan Dotson and Dallas Goedert, and even the same on defense, literally the same minus Nakobe Dean and Reed Blankenship. This roster on both offense and defense is 100% still loaded. And so Philadelphia is an intriguing landing spot, but when it comes to the top two offensive candidates, aka Brian Daboll and Mike McDaniel right now, I think both of them offer completely different paths, and Philadelphia is going to have to choose one. Brian Daboll, for example, is what I think the safer hire right now. Not a bad thing because technically he worked with Jalen Hurts at Alabama. They have a relationship. They both like each other. He also has a relationship with Nick Sirianni because both were on the Chiefs offensive staff many, many years ago. Of course, listen, I like Brian Daboll. Mentioned that a couple of days ago. He would be a massive upgrade from Ken Patullo, but I do think his time the past couple of seasons in New York certainly leaves me a little bit, hesitant, wanting more. Maybe he's just more of the OC type, like his time with the Buffalo Bills. That's fine by me, but right now I have him as number 2 on my list, one behind Mike McDaniel. And the main reason is I see Mike McDaniel as the polar opposite, the literal complete opposite of Nick Sirianni's offenses the past couple of seasons. That worked with Vic Fangio defensively, and I think it's exactly what Philadelphia needs on offense. For example, don't forget, back in 2022 and 2023, these Mike McDaniel offenses were absolutely unstoppable. They averaged, 364 yards a game in 2022, and then 401 yards per game, number 1 in the NFL in 2023. Philadelphia's offenses with Nick Sirianni have never been close. Then you go to, say, throws across the middle. Mike McDaniel loves those. Under center play action, did a ton of that with Tua. And then most importantly, scheming guys open play after play after play. That's a staple of his passing attack. Look at this comparison between the Birds' pre-snap motion rate the past 4 years to Mike McDaniel's Dolphins' pre-snap motion rate in the exact same time frame. Literally 100% completely opposite. These numbers are absolutely insane. I just think about a player like, say, DeVonta Smith in the exact same mold, running the same routes as, let's just go with Jalen Waddle, who had some monster seasons under Mike McDaniel, worked a ton in the slot, and back in 2022, averaged 18.1 yards per reception. I also think a complete scheme change could be a very interesting challenge for Jalen Hurts, because in a Mike McDaniel's offense, Jalen would have to do everything the media says he just can't do right now. Which is hilarious because in reality, Jalen Hurts is fantastic at everything Mike McDaniel wants his quarterbacks to do. He was great the past couple of seasons. Under center play action pass, we were begging for that. They just never ran it. And of course, pre-snap motion, Jalen Hurts, he's been absolutely fantastic. I think Jalen Hurts wants to be challenged. I think he wants to go ahead and grow as a quarterback. I think, sure, he has his limitations like every single young quarterback in the National Football League, but the idea that he can't throw across the middle, he doesn't like pre-snap motion, I think it's ridiculous. And watch this HBO clip from Hard Knocks just a couple of days ago. They're getting ready for the 49ers in the wild card round, and Jalen is begging Nick Sirianni to be more aggressive.
He's got to bang it real quick. Being ultra aggressive to it, you got it.
That's what we're doing on that play. We're chasing that access.
I love to hear it. Let's get that. Why don't we just try and throw the post?
Which, by the way, to add on top of this, how about 49ers defensive coordinator Robert Saleh explaining a couple of days ago why he knew what to call versus the Eagles on 4th and 11, because Nick Sirianni has been calling the exact same plays since back in 2023.
What's going through your head on 4th down?
Well, there's a lot of things, there's a lot of recall, a lot of notes on that little sheet I have in my hand, and back in 23 we were set in the same situation, 2x2, little hook route to the tight end. Not saying that that's what we were thinking. It's just one of those recall moments. But they are who they were at that moment, and we had, you play your odds, you play your numbers, you play the down and distance, and luckily it worked out.
Again, give me the most anti-Nick Sirianni candidate as humanly possible, please, a.k.a. Mike McDaniel. Because also, it's not just the passing game, which has been fantastic. McDaniel turned Devon Achane into a star running back in Miami. When they run the football well, that then sets the play action pass up, and I just imagine Saquon Barkley and DeVonta Smith in this offense, and it gets me so darn fired up, I cannot stop thinking about it. McDaniel has got to be my guy. And I think Jason Kelce is hinting at the exact same thing here during his hit on WIP the other day. He wants something completely different offensively.
My thing is I just want to stop this back and forth. I'm tired of he can't do this, or the offensive coordinator's scheme is too simple, and it's like, well, they're only doing this because of this, and he doesn't want to run, or the coaches and the organization doesn't want him to run. I'm just over that entire conversation and debate and what's happening. I agree. I think that at this point, I want to see a dynamic, creative, innovative offense that is utilizing motion, utilizing all these different route concepts, trying to do it in a way that is geared towards Jalen Hurts' skill set and what his strengths are as a player, because he has many. And then, we'll see. We'll see how it performs. And I think that great coaches find ways to coach things to players that it gets into their heads. I think Jeff Stoutland is a great teacher, and he doesn't teach me the same way as he teaches other tackles. And I think that, I want to see an offense that is not having to deal with all of this noise anymore. As a fan, I don't want to see it anymore. I'm just very fatigued on it.
You're really frustrated.
And listen, if you go to that, you can still be a dynamic run game. Like, you can still be a really good team with that.
All in all, Philadelphia has got to be aggressive the next couple of days and weeks as the offensive coordinator search continues to grow. They also must be willing to make concessions and step out of the box. That's what I'm asking for. I don't need the exact same offense I've seen the past couple of seasons. I don't think Jalen Hurts wants that. I don't think the Eagles themselves want that. It's up to Nick Sirianni and Howie Roseman to, get outside the box, get outside your comfort zone, and go get Mike McDaniel.
You're looking to continue to evolve as an offense, and I'm looking to bring in the guy that's going to best help us do that. Again, you want somebody that has great vision, great conviction on what they do, is able to coach fundamentals well to help the players get better, because I believe in that can connect with guys, because I believe in that, that has the mental toughness, because I believe in that. And, but again, it's not, there's a lot of good candidates, and I'm looking forward to sitting down and talking to a lot of these guys. But there's different things that make different guys special, and so it's about finding the guy that best fits us, that gives us the best chance to be, get back to the top of the mountain where we ultimately want to go.
Now, of course, plenty more stuff happening the next couple of days and weeks. When the Eagles, if the Eagles, who the Eagles sign, we'll cover it here on the channel. But right now, let's give away the unopened Jordan Spector Immortals Moments card here, DeVonta Smith. As I said earlier, the top 2 most liked comments from my last 2 videos will be entered. And as you see right here, Wheezy was one of them, saying he wants to take a good, long, hard look at Nick Sirianni. The one from yesterday was Billy Delco, this is funny, who said, quote, "We need a Netflix doc surviving Patulo Land," which I totally agree with. So I actually put them into a random website picker. You see the 2 names right here. And Drew and Wheezy, you won. Sorry to Billy Delco, but Wheezy, you are the victor, and so go down below. All the details are how to contact me, prove it to you, send me your address, and I'll get this bad boy sent out to you as soon as possible. As mentioned, I'm looking for an editor, which, again, if you're interested, email me down below. We'll see how many candidates that we get, but I want to hire somebody here sooner rather than later and try something out. Part-time contract, nothing crazy, but details are all down below. I'm Thomas Mott, though, heading into the weekend. Hope you guys have a good one. This has been the Thomas Mott Show.